Welcome to Church Membership Online's tutorial on how to use our data export to create your own custom mailing labels from your Church Membership Online program. Before we start, you'll need three important things to help you accomplish this. First of all, you'll need at least an admin or a pastor access to Church Membership Online for you to be able to access the data export feature that's located in the admin section of your program. Second, you'll also need MS Word and MS Excel, either 2003 or later version. And you'll also need printer labels with a printer label template ID number so that you'll be able to make sure that the template that you create in Microsoft Word matches the template of your mailing labels. Let's go ahead and begin. First, you'll want to go into your Church Membership Online program. When you get to your Church Membership Online program, you'll want to go to the admin section and select Data Export. Once you get to the Data Export, you'll have basically a few options in which you can create mailing labels. You can use the individual's records or household records. Both of those contain the information you'll need to be able to form the mailing labels. And you also need to select the export type. Let's go ahead and choose households to begin with. Once you've chosen household labels, you can go ahead and leave the default to Microsoft Excel. It also exports in XML, but Excel will be fine for what we're going to do. You don't need to compress the export file either, because typically there's not that much data in the mailing labels that would require for you to be able to do a compression. Go ahead and hit export. Once you do, a window will pop up which allows you to save the file, and typically I use save as, and I'll save it to the desktop. Once we save it to the desktop, just remember the name and go ahead and save it, and that will put it to your desktop. That's all you'll need to do right now from within your program. Of course, if you were to, as a pastor or administrator, want to pass this task on to someone else in your church, you're free to do so by just taking that file that you just created and sending it or emailing it to someone else in your church who you've chosen to do your mailing labels for you, or you can simply do it yourself. Any changes you make in those files that you export do not change any of the data that's in your program. So let's continue on. The next thing we want to do is open up your Excel program. When you open up Excel program, go ahead and click the file that you just created on your desktop. That will populate the fields from that file. And you'll notice that there are several fields here, some of which you will not need and some of which you will need. The only ones that we need out here is basically the name, the street, the city, the zip code, and the state. I'm going to go ahead and delete these others just to kind of simplify it. Again, anything you change here or do here doesn't alter your program whatsoever. So feel free to take liberty with that. And now that we've gotten rid of the fields that we don't need, and that's not necessary, but I do it just as a way to clarify what I have there to make sure everything looks fine. Sometimes I leave fields like the member type or age to sort the fields, because sometimes I can delete fields that I don't want to pull up in my mailing labels. Once you've done that, go ahead and click Save. When you save that file, it will put it back to your desktop. And now what we can do is go ahead and open up Microsoft Word. When you open up Microsoft Word, all you need to do is simply go to the Mailing tabs. In the Mailing tabs, you'll have selections of envelopes, labels, and Start Merge. You want to select the Start Merge because you're going to be merging the data that you just exported in the file to a mailing label program. So let's click Start Merge. It'll give you a list of options, and in fact you might want to take note later on that you'll be able to do letters, email messages if you leave the email field intact, envelopes, labels, and so forth, directory even. Let's choose labels. When we go to labels, it will ask you what type of label that we want to use. Now in our own program, we use Avery 5160, 5161, and 5162. But because this is custom labels, basically you can use any label of your choice insofar as that number that I told you about in the beginning for your printer labels matches the number that's here. And you have several different options here. And so we're going to use Avery 5160, and we're going to say OK. And once you chose that, it will then give you a template. Now, what's important to understand is that we're going to be working largely with this first field. But before we do, we have to select, again, the data file that you just exported earlier. So we're going to use existing file, and we're going to look for that existing file, which we placed on our desktop, and there it is right there. We click that file, and it will bring up households, which is what it is, and then it goes ahead and now knows that the records you're going to place there are coming from that file. The next thing we need to do is go over, we can look at the recipients list if you want, just to take a look at it. And in fact, those are the files that we uploaded, and it's on there. You can also use this as a way to deselect people that perhaps don't have the complete address, or others that you know that you don't want a part of your mailing list. So that's another way to take people off the list there. Also, at this time, you can go to Insert a Mail Merge Field. Now, if you notice, we had several fields, and one of them was household name. We're going to have that as the first line. The second line, we're going to hit Return, and we're going to, and the second one is the street and address. After that, hit Return again. And then we're going to hit choose the city, hit Return. Nope, I'm sorry. Instead of return, we're going to go a comma and a space. You have to put those in, or basically the names will be back to back. Now we're going to put state in, and then we're just going to put a space in instead of a comma, and include the zip code. Now that we have that, what we want to do is go ahead and we're going to update the labels, and we'll place all that information. But it doesn't really give us a good look at what we're doing. But we can click the preview results here, and now it's going to preview this first page with all the names that are in our program. And first give you the first page, and then you can also you can go through the pages if you want. Now, what I want you to know that's important is if you want to make changes to the font and to the size and the character, this is the time you want to do it before you export it, or before you print it to a document. And all you have to do is basically change the first one. So if I want to change this last name, household name, and say make it bold, I can do that right here. And then all I have to do is go back to mailing and go to update labels. Now notice all the first names, the last names are all bold. And of course you can change the font style. You can upload characters, also logos, those types of things. Once you're satisfied with the way your labels look, then go ahead and you can go Finish Merge. When you select Finish Merge, I usually, instead of going to Print Document, I go Edit Individual Document, and I'll select All, and then it'll give me a document that contains everybody, all the pages. So if I had 400 people in there, it might give me a document that's 29 pages long. And then the other thing that's nice about this document, if you want to make further changes to it, you can, and it will just basically change that particular label. That's all that you need to know, and we appreciate the opportunity to share with you about how to create custom labels. And again, refer back to this if you want to also create other types of things like your own directory or envelopes and other things as well. And so appreciate the opportunity to share this with you. And again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to get a hold of support at churchofficeonline.com. Thank you.